تیری دعا سے تیری دعا سے ماں تیری دعا سے ماں تیری دعا سے طواف میں نے کیا سعی مربادی طواف میں نے کیا سعی مربادی جو میں نے میرا کیا ماں تیری دعا سے تیری دعا سے ماں تیری دعا سے ماں تیری دعا سے مجھے گرانے پہ حاسد تلے ہوئے تھے مگر مجھے گرانے پہ حاسد تلے ہوئے تھے مگر میں دشمنوں سے بچا ماں تیری دعا سے تیری دعا سے ماں تیری دعا سے ماں تیری دعا سے قسم ہے اس میں اجادے کا کچھ جمال نہیں قسم ہے اس میں اجادے کا کچھ جمال نہیں عروج اس کو ملا ماں تیری دعا سے تیری دعا سے ماں تیری دعا سے ماں تیری دعا سے ماں کی دعا جنت کی ماں کی دعا جنت کی ماں کی دعا جنت کی ماں کی دعا جنت کی
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another edition of News in Focus live on Radio Al Ansar, broadcasting on the frequency Durban 90.4 FM, Peter Maritzburg 105.6 FM, and audio streaming on www.alansar.org.za. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaba bikum. My name is Yunus Sacoor, and I will be in your company for the next 2 hours, 8 to 10 p.m. I will be interviewing our guests shortly. Today, the date is the 20th of August 2025, equivalent to the 26th of Safar 1447 AH, a few days away from the Mubarak month of Rabiul Awal. Before I commence tonight's show, I'd like to play a small Urdu clip reflecting on the importance of parenting and the respect of the children for the parents. It's very simple to understand the Urdu clip, and inshallah we'll comment our program after listening to this clip.
अरे माँ घर में बैठी है, उसकी दुआ ले लो ना। वालिद घर में है, जाओ ना उसके पास, दबाइए उनकी खिदमत कीजिए, माफी पहले तो मांगिए उनसे। कितनी बुलंद आवाज में बातें की हैं, कितना झाड़ा है अपने माँ बाप को, कितना बुरा भला कहते हो। दोस्तों के लिए टाइम है, वालिद के लिए टाइम नहीं है। खुदा की कसम सवाब का अंबार है तुम्हारे घर में। हदीस पाक के अल्फाज हैं, जो बेटा, जो औलाद अपने माँ बाप को मोहब्बत की निगाह से देखे। हदीस पाक का मजमून है, नबी पाक फरमाते हैं, जो औलाद अपने माँ बाप को मोहब्बत की निगाह से देखे, अल्लाह मकबूल हज का सवाब अता फरमाता है। तुम्हारे घर में इतना बड़ा सवाब मौजूद है। अब मुझे बताओ, देखने पर हज का सवाब है, पैर दबाने पर कितना सवाब होगा, व्हील चेयर चलाने पर कितना सवाब होगा, उनके लिए दवाई लाने पर कितना सवाब होगा, माँ और अब्बू के लिए उनकी मनपसंद कभी बाहर से खाना लाने का कितना सवाब होगा, रात को उनकी पुकार पर खड़े होकर लब्बैक कहने का कितना सवाब होगा।
Alhamdulillah, that clip reflects the importance on parenting and the respect of the parents. The nasheed before that, Maa ki Tuhar Jannat ki Hawa, is reflective of the importance of the mother in the house and including the father as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the tawfiq and hidayah to respect our parents and ensure that takes place all the time in our lives going forward. Alhamdulillah, tonight we have a very interesting lineup. We're going to chat about the methodology used by Umdoni municipality in the South Coast to improve service delivery, because we know in municipalities that's been a huge challenge. And unfortunately, the situation is getting bad to worse. The next subject is the decline in service delivery and the way forward. Now, we know people are talking about the problems associated with poor service delivery, but very few political parties, ratepayer associations are really mapping out a way forward. Because if we don't really take cognizance of the decline and ways we can start addressing this decline, years going to go by and we're not going to get anywhere with this problem. So we're going to sort of unpack that and try to map out a way forward, because we're about 15 months away from the municipal elections. And whilst, registration and election of councillors is crucial, we got to kind of get an idea exactly how to go about this process. And then the third subject we're going to chat about is a very important subject on the global crisis throughout the world. And we're going to analyze it from an Islamic perspective. What did the Prophet ﷺ teach us relating to these issues, and how do we address them? So my guests on tonight's show, I have Hassan, our Economist asset manager. He will be addressing some important financial issues, as has been the case on a weekly basis. Abdool, Valodia, he's the chairman of the Overport Ratepayers Association. He's been, in that position for a number of years, and they're facing a lot of challenges in and around the Overport area. And the situation is getting bad to worse. So he's going to address that issue, which is going to be linked to the appointment of appropriate leaders into municipal positions going forward. We have Andile Phahla. He's the provincial coordinator for the Afrika Mayibuye movement. He's also been a PR councillor in a Tekwini municipality representing the ABC party. So he'll give us first-hand feedback on his experiences thus far at a Tekwini municipality. Some of the challenges, are they getting bad to worse? And how do we map a way forward? Then we have Councillor Asghar Khan live with us in the studio. He's representing the Jama party, but he's a councillor in Umdoni municipality. He's a chairperson of the Impact Committee since 2021, and the Impact Committee deals with forensic and unpacking corruption and maladministration. The show is interactive, and we welcome your comments, which can be sent to us on the studio WhatsApp number 0609041056. Later on in the program, telephonically, we will be interviewing Mufti Ebrahim. He's the principal and founder of Darul Iftaa Western Cape, and he will be chatting on the global crisis, from an Islamic perspective. He will be doing an analysis on the reaction worldwide of it's a humanitarian crisis, and he's also going to tell us about his potential trip on the flotilla heading towards Gaza to provide humanitarian aid. We know there's been 3 attempts by flotillas to provide humanitarian aid, and Israel intercepted all 3, apprehended those in occupation of the flotilla and sent them back to where they came from. But I've been informed that there's many flotillas, as much as about 12 to 15, that will be going together to provide humanitarian aid. So he'll give us an update on that issue, and this is going to be quite a crucial exercise, because they're going to deal with the challenges that they face when they're going to go towards Gaza. So let me introduce my guests this evening. First of all, we have Councillor Asghar Khan. We appreciate that he's come all the way from Umdoni and a good 1.5 hours away to join us live in the studio, as he always does, because he mentions to me that to come and address our listeners on Radio Al Ansar is very, very important, and he looks forward whenever we invite him. Councillor Asghar, shukran for joining us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and assalamu alaikum to the listeners. And as you said, it's an honor to be here and engaging with the listeners of Al Ansar in this area. It's our honor and it's our privilege to be here this evening.
And we really appreciate, we know in the evening it's quite a distance away, and I know you had commitments, but you traveled all the way to reach us, and whilst the studio is just a few minutes away from us, you had to leave, just after Asar or just before Maghrib to reach here on time. We really appreciate it. We also have in the studio Mr. Andile Phahla. He's the Provincial Coordinator of Afrika Mayibuye movement. Andile, good evening and welcome to News in Focus live on Radio Al Ansar.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us, and it's an honor to be in your presence. And we look forward to an interactive interview.
No, most certainly. Then we have Brother Abdool Valodia. He's the chairman of the Overport Ratepayers Association. He's also involved he's the chairman for the United for Palestine, and he's involved with various other political activism throughout the city. He's also been interacting with lots of political parties to try to seek assistance for the ratepayers, and he will be able to give us a report exactly the political reaction to the challenges facing the Overport ratepayers. Abdool, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome once again to News in Focus on Radio Al Ansar.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, Yunus, and thank you for having us on the show.
Okay, it's a pleasure, Abdool. I want to start off with you, Asghar. I know when last we invited you to the studio, you mentioned, the municipality may not be as big as Kwaduguza, Zinduzi, or Etekweni, but the challenges are of a similar nature, because when people pay rates for services, they expect some kind of value for money for the rates they pay. In addition, they pay, for electricity supply, which is utilities, for water, for sewage, etc. Now, in the past, there were some kind of satisfaction that some kind of services are provided. But in the last decade or so, like other municipalities, Umdoni in the south coast happened to be a tourist resort, because Margate, Umdoni, and those areas, service delivery has declined. So perhaps you just want to give us an update on exactly, is the situation getting bad to us, and what are the key issues that are affecting the residents of that particular area or municipality?
No, shukran. As you have correctly pointed out, the challenges experienced by residents in a local municipality or in towns generally across, whether you're in the KZN province or whether you're in any other province, and towns generally around the country, is basically, you can summarize it into 5 different aspects. The first aspect is the issue of roads and stormwater, where we're finding that, due to a lack of infrastructure maintenance and infrastructure spending and upgrades, we find that the roads infrastructure, the stormwater infrastructure is dilapidating. The second thing that the ratepayer looks at is the issue of streetlights. And these are generic, everywhere you go, wherever there's a ratepayer, you'll find this is the second issue that he raises, the issue of street lights. And one may look past the issue of street lights and not look at it just as public lighting, but look at it as in a complex situation of it being providing safety also. So the issue of streetlights comes with the issue of safety. I mean, if the public areas are lit, then most likely you're not going to have the issue of crime within that area. So that's the second issue that is being raised by ratepayers. The third issue, which we've seen in the recent past, is the issue of refuse collection. And, I was listening to a national radio station the other day, and I found that it was very strange and very alarming to know that even this issue of refuse collection is affecting bigger cities. We understand if it's affecting a smaller area because of resources and those type of things. So the third issue is the issue of refuse collection. The fourth issue is something that is close to all our hearts, is the issue of water and the provision of water. Now, one would understand, maybe in an area like Overport also, 30, 40 years ago when reservoirs were built, it was built to feed and to accommodate a certain amount of people. Over the years, we found an influx, and the communities, the towns have grown. But yet the infrastructure to cater to the needs of the people have not increased, and the infrastructure has not been improved to cater to the needs of people. So the provision of water has become, in the last few years, a serious challenge in our area and throughout the South Coast. And lastly is the fifth thing that our ratepayers look at is the property values due to the mushrooming of informal settlements within the areas where the ratepayers are. So, but I don't think ratepayers are complaining about people coming to live in their areas, but I think the issue is of adequate, dignified human settlements for all. So these are the issues that have come up over the last few years, and I think as a municipality or local government needs to look deep into this aspect of these 5 key issues that we talk about. Service delivery on a local level. These are bread and butter issues, and it's affecting not only people within our municipalities, but it's a generic issue around the country.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll later on in the program analyze the causes of these problems, the source of the problems. I want to just chat with Andile. He's a former councillor of eThekwini municipality. Andile, you've heard the challenges that Umdoni is facing. Now, the common challenges that have been reported by ratepayers of eThekwini is, in addition to those 5, challenges, they've added on electricity. Now, there's frequent outages. Load shedding has stopped, but in the Overport area, and Abdool will add when he comes in, you have a lot of different areas. People are complaining, our lights are gone. It came back only after about 4 or 5 hours. So there's a regular outage of electricity, notwithstanding load shedding has stopped. Then there's stormwater and sewer blockages, particularly sewer. Now, sewer is going into the season and causing a problem with bathing facilities in the different beaches, and that's affecting tourism. And in addition, blocked sewer and stormwater is affecting the areas. And many places, it's as a result of informal settlements that have conglomerated, and the infrastructure is not adequate to take care of the excess sewer and stormwater. The third one is the issue of human settlements, where the provision of housing has come to a standstill. This is why those informal settlements are not being moved to formal housing units. And in addition, there's very no movement in the human settlement sector in the bigger municipalities. And last but not least is the issue of policing or crime. Now, Metro Police with SAPs, were expected to take care of criminal activities, and it's on the incline, now on the increase. And the resulting effect is that you find many Metro policemen flocking in areas where it's not necessary for them to be there, but merely to give tickets in the centrum area. And we're not saying they must allow traffic to come to a standstill, but where they are required, they are not there, and they're not working in close, consultation with SAPs. In addition, they are basically collecting a lot of bribes. They're corrupt, and many of them are lazy. So basically, I want you to just reflect on some of these service delivery challenges in eThekwini, and maybe you want to elaborate on a few in your tenure of office there in the last few years, Andile.
Thank you again. I think what needs to be noted here is that corruption is the main cause of the decay of service delivery. We need to understand that the water issue in eThekwini, you've got 58% water loss, which means we are paying for that water, but it's not getting to the end user. Secondly, we have an issue where we've got water treatment plants out of 25, 23, their accreditation is not even up to standard, which then questions that the quality of water that we are consuming, quality of water that is being utilized by us, is it up to standard? Secondly, what needs to be known, or thirdly, it needs to be known is that Metro Police is not just a ticket officiating exercise, but a police service that has dog units, has more than one division that is supposed to be counteracting crime intelligence, utilizing the resources deployed by Metro to effectively run the city in a way that makes all the ratepayers feel safe. We do have an issue where there aren't enough feet on the ground. For the growth that's happening within the city, it's an issue. For the mushrooming of informal settlements, I think something we need to talk about is there is not enough money to house all the people looking for jobs in eThekwini. We do understand that this is the metro within the province, but the reality is that we find ourselves now housing informal settlements that aren't catered for in terms of budget fiscus, and that's a balance act that we are not getting right. We need to understand that the pool that eThekwini pulls from, the ratepayers, there's too few ratepayers versus the per capita of the services that are needed by the general public of eThekwini. So we find ourselves as a eThekwini municipality constantly having to go back to commercial banks to look for money, to basically encompass, undocumented foreign immigrants that are utilizing services that are actually meant for the people of eThekwini. So there's a mushrooming of issues, corruption being one, from losing grants within eThekwini municipality due to non-compliance, due to audit queries. Those are things that we can't keep quiet and sit on the sidelines and complain and talk about, the normal problems that should be solved by us, as politicians and people who are serving the community. So for us, it was a cry to say we are not going to sit in council and be rendered useless because of the status quo of municipal managers that could do better and have been appointed by politicians with their own agendas. So for us, we are tired of being sideline politicians, and I think it's time for people to know the truth.
Now, Andile, before I go for a break, I note that you've quit as a councillor probably because of the frustration of lack of service delivery. Having a short stint there, and you realize the pressure you're putting on the municipalities because you come from a small party, it's going into deaf ears, and those that are ruling or controlling council, it's probably the ANC with an alliance of one or two parties, are not taking service delivery seriously. So if you can, in a few minutes, just indicate to us why you decided to quit and decide to move on and join, maybe a progressive movement known as the Mayibuye movement.
I think it's a short story. We can't allow the normal status quo to carry on. We must remember the GNU was seen to be a rescue for the average man. But the truth is that certain criteria in terms of the DA will vote anti anything that is pro-color, and the ANC will vote for anything that is pro their benefit. So when you're stuck in the middle and become a voiceless councillor, you need to be bold enough to walk away from the salary and the perks in order to fight for the average man that has entrusted you to fight for them. The truth is, politics is a game of numbers. And if you don't have the numbers, you don't have a voice. So we are here to tell the truth, and the truth will set us free.
Okay, thank you. And we'll explore that or discuss that further. We're going to take a short break, and we'll then continue with Abdool Valodia from a ratepayers point of view. Does he agree with what's being said? And exactly, are the problems worse than what's being presented to us?
Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theatre rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031 306 4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickfield Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
Get ready to elevate your fitness game at First Fitness in Durban's Berea. With a spacious free weight area, award-winning equipment, and exclusive ladies-only parking and training level, we've got everything you need to crush your goals. Hit the ground running on our outdoor track or unleash your inner warrior in our MMA and boxing dungeon. Plus, enjoy high security and ample parking. And don't forget to refuel at our halal coffee and health restaurant for the best in coffees, smoothies, and healthy eats. Join us today and redefine your fitness journey. First Fitness, dare to be extraordinary.
KZN, let's go shopping. Durban India shopping at Saxony Westwood Mall from the 15th to the 31st of August. Get all your shopping done for men, women, and children. So bring the whole family. We have the latest fashion in bridal wear and Eastern wear, an exciting kids zone, tantalizing foods, entertainment, and so much more. Monday to Thursday, free entry. Weekends, only 20 Rand per person. Open from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Remember, awesome entertainment every weekend. Only at Durban India Shopping at Saxony Westwood Mall.
AI is changing the way we teach and learn. Are you ready to keep up? Join us for a dynamic seminar on how educators can harness artificial intelligence effectively in the classroom. Al-Ansar Hall, Overport, Saturday, 6 September from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tickets 150 Rand, available at the Al-Ansar shop.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا آمنا فاكتبنا مع الشاهدين.
This segment is brought to you by Kenfield Auto, your RMI approved service and repair specialist. 236 Brickfield Road, Overport.
Kenfield Auto.
Car won't start?
Kenfield Auto.
Noisy brakes?
Kenfield Auto.
Due for a service?
Kenfield Auto.
Kenfield Auto, the answer to all your car problems. Your service and repair specialist for your VW, Audi, Suzuki, Toyota, or just about any vehicle. Kenfield Auto, your RMI and insurance approved workshop to handle them all. 236 Brickfield Road, Overport. Call us on 031 207 2399. Kenfield Auto.
Craving for an easy, spicy and delicious meal made in minutes? Introducing Easy Mee Goreng, Korean-style instant noodles from Noodle King. This delicious, flavorful noodles is ready in minutes with a kick in every bite. Get your pack of Easy Mee Goreng at a retail store near you. Noodle King also boasts a whole variety of other delicious pantry must-haves. Look out for our brands at your favorite retail stores.
Ya Rasool Allah, Ya Habib Allah, Aka, 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 फिर के गली गली तबाह ठोकरे सब की खाए क्यों दिल को जो अक्ल दे खुदा तेरी गली से जाए क्यों रुखसात का फिदा कशान गश से हमें उठाए क्यों रुखसात का फिदा कशान गश से हमें उठाए क्यों सोते हैं उनके साए में सोते हैं के साए में کوئی ہمیں جگائے کیوں پھر کے دکھائے کیوں دل کو جو عقل دے خدا تیری گلی سے جائے کیوں یاد حضور کی قسم غفلت عیش ہے ستم یاد حضور کی قسم غفلت عیش ہے ستم خوب ہے قید غم میں ہم خوب ہے قید غم میں ہم کوئی ہمیں چھڑائے کیوں گلی تباہ وہ جو نہ تھے تو کچھ نہ تھا وہ جو نہ ہو تو کچھ نہ ہو وہ جو نہ تھے تو کچھ نہ تھا وہ جو نہ ہو تو کچھ نہ ہو جان ہے وہ جہان کی جان ہے وہ جہان کی جان ہے تو جہان گئے پھر کا گلی ساکا کی کھاکا کیوں دل کو جو عقل دے خدا تیری گلی سے جائے کیوں ہاں جان گئے عشق مصطفیٰ روز فضوں کرے خدا جان ہے عشق مصطفیٰ روز فضوں کرے خدا جس کو درد کا مزہ جس کو درد کا مزہ سے دوا اٹھائے کیوں پھر کے دل کو جو عقل دے خدا تیری گلی سے جائے کیوں ہے تو رضا نرا ستم جرم پہ گئے لجائے ہم ہے تو رضا نرا ستم جرم پہ گئے لجائے ہم کوئی بجائے سوز غم کوئی بجائے سوز غم سازے طرب بجائے کیوں پھر گلی
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to News in Focus live on Radio Al-Ansar, broadcasting on the frequency Durban 90.4 FM, Peter Masberg 105.6 FM, and streaming on www.alansar.org.za. After that beautiful nasheed, before the break, we were chatting briefly with Councillor Asghar and also Andile Phahla, where they were narrating in Umdoni and Etikweni some of the key challenges, and they enumerated more than about 9 or 10 challenges. Now, Abdool, as the chairperson of Overport Ratepayers Association for the last few years, he obviously can confirm what's happening on the ground. We've interviewed him previously, and he's raised a whole lot of challenges, and we're hearing it firsthand from the councillors. So, Abdool, from your perspective, I know you've got a big area in Overport to cover. You've got a chat group comprising of close to 1,000 residents who regularly report complaints, and many of them are getting frustrated. So, from your perspective, over and above what has been reported by Councillor Asghar as well as Andile Phahla, do you sort of find that these are common problems, and in addition, what else is experienced by the ratepayers?
Thank you, Yunus. I actually, besides being the chair of the Overport Ratepayers Association, I also assist on the Asghar side as well, and I'm quite active on the Asghar, ratepayers as well. One of the biggest challenges that we are faced in Overport, which happens almost on a daily basis, is power outages, sewer flowing, burst pipes. And the burst pipes, for example, if we take Brickfield Road itself, that's been continuous issues, which is the main arterial area. And that's one of the most important areas where our trade takes place. If we look at opposite Safe Cash, Safe supermarkets, we've had almost 3 bursts in that same area next to each another, within few weeks. And this is only becoming a band-aid solution, where they dig up the road, spend a few days, you have water outages, water outages at peak time when people need their water. And then you find the band-aid repair. Once the band-aid repairs have been done, they close the hole up. They don't even come and retar the area again. And the area still remains gravel until we have to keep on addressing these problems. And we ourselves as the ORA, and from the time that we have formed our organization, in fact, we first started off with an organization was called the Brickfield Forum, and we formed that in the region about 2019, somewhere around in May. And from Brickfield Forum, we decided that we need to look at something more in detail, because that's just a forum. And then we formed the ORA, the Overport Ratepayers Association, in the region, I think somewhere around 2023. So from the time we formed, the Overport Ratepayers, one of the issues that we faced, that we had faced always, is that we've noticed service delivery has been one of the worst in our ward itself. And that I'll hold it towards our councillors in the area, that I will say. And there was no need for us to form a ratepayers association if service delivery was, always in order. But, we noticed as residents in the areas, we've been sidelined for many years. And this forced us as residents to do something on our own. And I think with our team that we have on board, we've had some major achievements, being normal, executives of the ratepayers associations, where we managed to get, some major infrastructures like road rehabilitation, like Alpine Road, from the entire Alpine Road, which was another main artery, that has been used. And we managed to rehabilitate that entire road. We looked at getting Brickfield Road done as well, which we did write up to the municipalities to get Brickfield Road sorted out. And that was declined due to they know there's renovations of putting up new piping in that area. So it makes more sense for them to, first lay the pipes, complete new piping, because those pipes are there is major issues with those pipes. And then they'll start the rehabilitation process of the road. So that now, we really don't know when it's going to happen. Whenever we spoke to municipalities or we spoke to heads of departments, there's always been the issue of budgets. Now, it's good we have our two councillors that's here, with us. And, they'll be able to tell us much more details about these budgets, because, when I first recollect, just before government passed their budgets, they needed approval. Now the approval has been done. Now the money has been issued, and the money should have been utilized into infrastructures at what was required. And we still don't see anything, any changes, any drastic things happening. It's only happening in that influential areas. And if we look at Overport, it's a very, very densely populated area. And it's a high rate paying area as well. If you recollect, we had even the mayor that visited us here, and we had an engagement with him. And there's many promises made to us. From that time to now, nothing's happened. So now we're coming to local elections that's coming up again. And I can understand the frustration from, our comrade Andile, yeah, that actually, as he mentioned, that there's been a lot of corruption and, and issues that he's been facing as a councillor. So he decided to leave and now join a new, new political organization. Obviously, I'm a bit surprised. Why would he leave a position as, of a councillor that's earning him good money and jumping into something that's nothing there? But obviously that'll be his choice. And then we have our brother from Jama here also. And, he also alluded to a few things with regards to what's happening with regards to, infrastructure. But we as ratepayers, we cannot be waiting for these type of, ways that how the municipalities run, how they work in our wards. We need to find this, solutions need to be done immediately, and these issues has to be dealt with. Obviously, because we as ratepayers, as customers that are paying every month for services, and we have been put into a back burner, and nothing's really happening.
Now, Abdool, your grouping, I remember the councillor has been mentioning that there's a meeting that's being set after pressure from the ratepayers and residents, that there's major problem with sewer blockages, particularly in the Sheringham Road area, and a lot of listeners are from the Overport area. And I know you mentioned you interacting with other ratepayer associations like Asherville, Springfield, Reservoir Hills, because they got similar problems, and they obviously are facing the same challenges. And when you contact the mayor and the officials, I mean, they run in the municipality, there's all kinds of excuses. If there's water leakages, as Andile mentioned, 58% of the water is lost. So ratepayers are paying for water they're not using, and they're getting huge bills, and they're not affording these bills. I know there was a write-off as at the end of July, but a lot of people didn't have the balance of the money to take advantage of the write-off. So they're hoping there's other relief that will come in. So in terms of these challenges that the councillor plans to have a meeting, is there a positive response? Or people are saying, are we wasting our time because the councillor has been ineffective? Maybe you've got a few minutes just before the news break to tell us exactly what's happening there.
Our councillor is always being MIA in this ward. And now it comes to the year which we're sitting on 2025, very close to elections. And all of a sudden you find the councillor comes out of the woods. So people need to understand what's going on. Sheringham story is not a story today. It's been sitting there for years. It's an issue that we're having drugs, we're having sewers being plugged for many years. We ourselves, as the ORA, I myself have been to Sheringham Road many times, and we resolved issues. We resolved issues with regards to sewer that's been blocked in there. But one thing we did know, and which is a fact, there's actually a pipe that's in that area that's blocked. And that pipe should have been replaced years ago. So I like to know our councillor, who is the authority of the area. Why can't she sort out the issue out? Why the council can't fix the problem? Unless our councillors here, they'll be able to assist to say what is the process. Is it that the way I look at it sometimes is like deliberately, certain councils will make sure that, you'll find failures in the ward, so they'll keep on blaming the municipality that's out there. As a Ratepayers Association, if we're blaming municipality, how do we get services fixed by me contacting the municipality? And they actually assist us with that, with that story. And you know what? We are not councillors.
Abdool, on that note, we'll take a break for the news. Eric has joined us, and inshallah, we'll continue after the news break.
An informative Islamic global perspective. This is Al-Ansar News.
Making news this are the 20th of August. The news from Durban 90.4 FM, Pietermaritzburg 105.6 FM. Michael Sutcliffe's Msinduzia appointment raises eyebrows. America Monina. Ratepayers have questioned the need for yet another governance expert to help Msinduzia municipality get back on track. The Msinduzia Association of Residents, Ratepayers and Civics has been reacting to Dr. Sutcliffe's appointment to assist the troubled municipality. Sutcliffe is a former eThekwini municipal manager. The Ratepayers Association CEO Anthony Vidalsin says no expert can succeed unless corruption and political interference are tackled. Vidalsin says greater transparency, stakeholder involvement, and accountability in decision-making needs to be seen. More news. The Durban University of Technology, DUT, has dismissed claims linking a student's death to funding issues. The third-year student, Spiwo Motala, fell to his death from the fifth floor of the Steve Biko campus. Social media users alleged that he had been defunded prior to the tragedy. In a statement, DUT has clarified that Motala was fully funded and not listed among the defunded students. The UT says the tragedy was linked to personal struggles, not funding or academic issues. At the same time, the university has urged people to respect the family's privacy and avoid sharing graphic content. The university has now described Motala as being a committed student and who had performed quite well in his studies. Meanwhile, Higher Education Minister Buti Manamela is expecting a full report on the incident. Public hearings into corruption into the South African police services and justice sector will begin on the 1st of September. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry will probe allegations of criminality and political interference within the criminal justice system. This comes after a series of damning claims made by the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Hlanhla Mkhwanazi. The commission has been tasked with examining whether politicians and prosecutors enabled or turned a blind eye to criminal activities. Atlande Mate is National Police Commissioner, a National Police spokesperson. She says the police is ready to appear before the commission.
I think the National Commissioner, as soon as the President announced that he's establishing this particular Commission of Inquiry, he's pledged his full support and cooperation to the Commission. And I think on our side, we are prepared to appear before the Commission.
One is now controversial businessman Katiso Katie Molefe has been denied bail by the Alexandra Magistrate Court. Molefe returns to court on the 18th of September 2025. He is accused of masterminding the 2022 murder of a musician, Opa Sofoka, known as DJ Somebody, and two of his bodyguards. The DJ was gunned down in a hail of bullets in Woodmead in 2022. Pindim Judendwana of the National Prosecuting Authority has this to say on Molefe.
The judgment is welcomed. It is one that was carefully considered. It has taken into consideration all the overwhelming evidence that we have presented as the NPA. We have cited in court that the accused person is a danger to society and that he knows that if convicted, he faces a lengthy imprisonment term, which is an incentive for him to evade his trial, and as well as that the interest of justice does not permit his release on bail, considering that they are of danger to society and they could tamper or hamper with the ongoing investigation.
And finally, international story, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says the United States and some of its Western allies are seeking to expand unilateralism across the globe and impose their dictates upon nations, emphasizing that neither Iran nor Belarus would tolerate such an approach. Pezeshkian arrived in the Belarusian capital today following a visit to Armenia. In his two-day visit, he focused on bolstering political, economic, and cultural ties. Pezeshkian has hailed the amicable bilateral relations between Iran and Belarus, stating that the two countries share identical stances and many regional and international subjects, and also have constructive cooperation in international spheres. For his part, Lukashenko of Belarus says that Belarus is a friendly country and a reliable partner of Iran. In your weather, tonight it's 21 degrees. A quick reminder of our top story: the Derby University of Technology has dismissed claims linking a student's death to funding issues. Report says the third-year student fell to his death from the 5th floor of the Steve Biko campus. And that's how the news is looking for tonight. From me, Eric Monina, and the rest of the news team, it's good night from us.
اللهم إنك ترى ما نزل بنا في غزة من الأحوال يا ذا الجلال والعزة يا ذا الجبروت والعزة اللهم أعز أهل غزة اللهم فرج عن أهل غزة اللهم فرح أهل غزة اللهم انصر أهل غزة اللهم داوي جريحهم اللهم اشف مريضهم اللهم اقبل شهيدهم اللهم ارحم ميتهم اللهم كفف جراحاتهم وبرد آلامهم اللهم واجعل لهم وللمسلمين فرجا قريبا يا الله اللهم فرج عنا وعن المسلمين في كل مكان اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين واخذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداء الدين يا رب العالمين سبحانك سبحانك ترى الظالمين فتمهلهم حتى يظنوا أنك تهملهم وتبتلي الصالحين في الدنيا حتى يستيئسوا فإن استيئسوا أتيتهم بنصرهم اللهم إنك تعلم أن جراحات المسلمين كثيرة وآلامهم كثيرة في كل مكان وفي كل زمان اللهم فانصرنا على أعدائنا يا الله اللهم فثبت أقدامنا يا الله.
One child, one dream.
A journey with Africa Muslims Agency that began 3 years ago has changed the lives of Syrian and Palestinian refugee children beyond their dreams. Help them to continue their education by sponsoring a student at the Amman School of Excellence in Lebanon for 25,200 Rand per year. Education at Amman can provide a brighter future for refugee families.
AMA, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Welcome to the Village Code Cafe and Bistro, where flavors dance and every gathering feels like magic. Halal certified and run by 3 sisters, we serve breakfast all day, from bagels and sourdough open sandwiches to burgers, wraps, toasties, tacos, nachos, and our signature coffee blend, crafted just for our cafe. Host your next event with us, all in a space that feels as good as it tastes. Find us at the Westville Village Market, 123 Jan Hofmeyer Road, lower ground level. Call us on 079 670 4093. The Village Co, where every bite feels like home.
Get ready, Durban. The TBR Family 5-kilometer fun run and walk is happening. 11 October at the Blue Lagoon Lawns, kicking off at 7 a.m. Join us for a day packed with excitement, a scavenger hunt, kite building, a burger eating showdown, and prizes galore. Enjoy food trucks, family games, and a live 6-hour broadcast from Radio Al Ansar. Don't forget, bring a new toy to brighten a child's day in hospital.
Durban Halal Meats, the butcher with a twist. Whether you're firing up the braai or stocking up for your business, we've got you covered. From premium lamb, beef and chicken to custom cuts and bulk orders, all 100% halal certified by Sanha. Enjoy our convenient buy and braai service, fast delivery and easy online ordering at durbanhalalmeats.co.za. Visit us at 84 Felix Dlamini Road, Durban Halal Meats. Quality, affordability, trust, meat made better.
When you give water, you're reaching out to drought-affected areas, bringing them to life. Fresh water to drink, to clean, and to grow. That's the power of water. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
Plan your dream holiday with the specialist, World of Travel, as we pride ourselves in offering you the best in Hajj and Umrah. We also offer travel packages to the Middle East, Far East, and many more exotic destinations. Call our professional travel consultants now on 031 20 8877 or view our website www.worldoftravel.co.za. Visit us at 44 Crescent Street as memorable journeys begin with World of Travel by Irshad Malik.
Welcome to Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031 306 4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickfield Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
يا حبيب الله يا رسول الله يا حبيب الله يا رسول الله يا حبيب الله يا رسول الله يا حبيب الله يا رسول الله. هذا الرسول إذا يبسم ترى الأرض نورا فلا تظلم. هذا الرسول إذا يبسم ترى الأرض نورا فلا تظلم. وثار الحبيب إذا ما بدا يداوي القلوب فلا تسقم. وثار الحبيب إذا ما بدا يداوي القلوب فلا تسقم. يداوي القلوب فلا تسقم. محياه طلق كقطر الندى على حسنه دائما أقسم. محياه طلق كقطر الندى على حسنه دائما أقسم. وجه جميل كبدر الدجى ينير الوجود فلا يعتم. ووجه جميل كبدر الدجى ينير الوجود فلا يعتم.
Audio stream across the world on radioalansar.co.za.
Allah, 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 Allah. تنہا ہوں میں اور انتہا لاکھوں تنے ہیں سامنے بیٹھا ہوں میں مایوس کن آئے نہ کوئی مجھے تھامنے اللہ اللہ تو میری سن لے صدا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير مایوب ہوں تیرا کرم پردہ رکھا عزت بھی دی بڑھ کے دیا اوقات سے دولت بھی طاقت بھی اور وقت بھی کر دے خطا ہر معاف تو فہرست اسیاں کو چھوڑ دے اللہ اللہ تو میری سن لے صدا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير رنگینیوں خود غرضیوں میں ہے گزاری یہ عمر ہے آرزو بس ایک یہی کر دوں تیرے نام شام و سحر تسکین دل حاصل کروں رخ اپنی جانب تو موڑ دے اللہ اللہ تو میری سن لے صدا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير لب پہ رہے ذکر و دعا اور تجھ سے میں ڈرتا رہوں کر کے عمل قرآن پہ جنت کی راہوں پہ چلتا رہوں خدمت کروں اسلام کی پچھتاوے کا غم توڑ دے اللہ
میرے دل میں ہے یاد محمد میرے ہونٹوں پہ ذکر مدینہ تاجدار حرم کے کرم سے آ گیا زندگی کا کرینہ میرے دل میں ہے یاد محمد.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to News in Focus live on Radio Al Ansar, broadcasting on the frequency Durban 90.4 FM, 105.6 FM in Pietermaritzburg, and streaming on www.alansar.org.za. At the request of many of our listeners, we played a medley of nasheeds, and we thought we'll whet your appetite before we have live on air Hazrat Mufti Ibrahim Smith, the principal and founder of Darul Iftaa, Western Cape. Mufti Saab has spent some time in Gauteng. He gave a series of lectures, and he's just landed back in Western Cape, and he's going to chat to us about the global crisis. The day Allah will tell you, I was hungry, why didn't you feed me? That's the situation in Gaza and Palestine. They are being starved and not starving. The blood of all these orphans, widows, etc., is on the hands of those who are silent. And we know a lot of people and countries close to Palestine, are complicit with the Zionists on this situation, the genocide that's taking place in Palestine. And another comment is the orphan from Gaza who said to our Prophet, peace be upon him, don't intercede for this ummah. So there's serious implications of, people just keeping quiet about the humanitarian crises that's taking place in Gaza and indeed in and around the Middle East and other parts of the world. Voices of people are not being heard. Mufti Saab, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome to News in Focus live on Radio Al Ansar. Mufti Saab, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear us?
MashaAllah, I hope that everyone is alhamdulillah. I just literally stepped inside my own house. I was gone for about 12 days or so. So good to be back on air, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, Mufti Saab, shukran for joining us. I know the lines are not very clear, but we know you just arrived from Gauteng on a series of lectures. And, the global crisis is cause for concern. And, I always, sort of mention the hadith of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, where he indicated, Prophet sallallahu indicated that if there's oppression taking place, if there's genocide taking place, if there's humanitarian challenges, as the Muslim Ummah, we can do one of three things, and that will indicate the level of our Iman. The highest form of Iman is that we physically go there and start interceding to deal with oppression and to deal with any crises that's taking place, that humanitarian injustices, etc. The second form of Iman is where we start talking about it, having protest marches, raising concerns, building up awareness to the Ummah. But the lowest form of Iman is that we need to make dua for the community or for the people that are facing these problems. Because we are a distance away, but we still can act. So, Mufti Sahib, I know you've been through a series of lectures addressing this issue in the various masajids. Perhaps you want to just give us a brief update on the global crises and the manner in which, from an Islamic perspective, we as believers should respond. Mufti Sahib, can you hear us? Yes. Okay. Bismillah.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, you know that when I gave the lecture, basically I told the people that a case was made and registered against the Ummah by this orphan and other people as well from Gaza in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they're going to come and testify against us on the day of Qiyamah, and they're going to ask Rasulullah not to intercede on behalf of us. And knowing the system of Allah, every da'wah, every dua of an oppressive or a person who's oppressed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will deal with it swiftly and justly. So the entire ummah is in difficulty, in trouble at this point in time, not doing what they ought to do, especially the neighbors of Gaza, the Arab countries and all these other neighboring countries, Yes, that's the crisis because they are being starved. They're not starving, they had access to food, but that has been weaponized against them. And the Ummah, other than the dua and doing what they can do, there's other initiatives also happening, And one of those, of course, is the flotilla, which is being headed by a non-Muslim. Can you imagine a group of non-Muslims came together and decided to break the siege on Gaza. They attempted once, and they're going to attempt it again now in the very, very near future, trying to take actual aid to the people of Gaza so that they can break the siege and get necessary medical supplies, infant supplies, and whatever people might need. And the Muslims should have been the forerunners and flag bearers of such operations, because it is our brothers and our sisters suffering. It is indeed a global crisis being streamed live, being watched live across various platforms, and that's why I decided to call out various groups and people. Why the silence, and why when you think that you've made dua, that your duty and responsibility stops there. We have to keep on pushing and keep on doing something until finally Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's nusrat and help will come.
Now, Mufti Sahib, you'll be joining this flotilla, and I believe there's more than one going out to provide aid in Gaza. The intention is, from the information you've received, I know you've been invited to join and you're planning to join. How many flotillas will be going towards Gaza to provide humanitarian aid in the near future?
Well, it's from 44 countries, and I think it's a couple of dozen ships this time, and not only 2. So it's very costly. It's about the cheapest one is about 25 to 30,000 euros. And alhamdulillah, all the ships have been paid for. So some will be leaving from Spain and some will be leaving from Tunis. And 15,000 people applied to be part of this flotilla. I'm not sure that they will be able to accommodate everyone. But from South Africa, I can tell you, including me, because I was nominated, it is 7 in total, exclude that will be embarking on this mission. And that is subject to, of course, medical approval, for some of those people who want to join. So when you look at numbers, you're looking at a very, very large number. And I think it would not be less than 30 per ship that will be going on this specific mission, inshallah.
Now, where would these ships be sailing from? Will it be from the Mediterranean or from Britain or those areas? And would those countries be supporting those flotillas heading towards Palestine or Gaza?
From on the 1st of September, a large percentage of those ships will be leaving Spain. So, and then the 3rd of September, the remainder of the ships, meaning the South African mission as well, will be leaving from the port of Tunis. I just want to highlight something here, that it is actually a suicidal mission. We were told beforehand that these ships might be bombed, they might sink it, or you might be. So it's like a 1-week trip. You're going, you have to accept the indemnity form that if anything happens to you, the onus is on you. So it's still, the people are resilient. They still want to go. And then there's other people as well. There's actresses and actors from different countries also, and activists. Many people heading on this particular mission.
So it's a humanitarian mission. People are risking their lives to go. It's going to be like 40 odd countries and a large number of ships that will be going. Now there is concern that the reaction of the Zionists would be that if they cannot apprehend these ships, they're going to start bombing and starting to attack these ships. Is that what's been told to those that are volunteering to go?
Yes. During the last mission, they actually sent drones, and they sprayed some white chemical on the one ship, and they arrested the crew of the other ship. And they actually bombed the one ship. A few people got hurt. In 2010, they killed about 10 people on the Turkish flotilla. So, they treat everyone with impunity. They don't really care. This happens in international waters, not even like 60 kilometers or 60 nautical miles from Gaza. So they're not allowed to do anything, but they do whatever they want to, and the entire international community remains still willing to go there, Muslims and non-Muslims, to break the siege. So that says a lot, really, that you're going there with the intention of supporting, but you might not be returning home alive.
Mufti Sahib, what motivated you to be nominated and accept the nomination and go? Your message to the...
I actually begged, besides being nominated, because I saw the last flotilla, and because I know I can't enter Palestine because of my outspokenness, and I have nothing else to offer to the Palestinians except my own self, my soul, and being part of people who want to break that siege. There's people who are more brave out there, who's more capable, you know. So because I've been championing the I've been close there. We went to Syria also not too long ago, which is 400 kilometers away from Gaza, and I've seen the condition there. So, if as a leader, if we cannot lead the people from the front, the masses, and we're gonna sit here and condone, and we're gonna start cherry picking in this entire flotilla without doing anything, not even speaking about Gaza, then what's the use of being a leader? I always say leaders must lead from the front. So, as soon to get my medical clearance, inshallah.
Mufti Saab, we're breaking up. Are you still on the line? Yes, you're still on the line, Mufti Saab. Maybe your concluding remarks, Mufti Saab.
Yes, Ji, I am. I can hear you.
Yeah, Mufti Saab, go for it. Your concluding remarks. We know it's a very, very tricky journey.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it yes. Make it easy and protect this flotilla, you know, and those people who are able to support this initiative and other similar initiatives where the siege can be broken and where the actual aid can enter into Gaza. Support all those type of initiatives. That will be our excuse in Allah's court on the day of Qiyamah when we didn't feed those who are hungry. We can say, Ya Allah, we attempted, we succeeded, or we failed. You know, results is not in our hands. The results come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Jazakallah, Mufti Saab. I know you're chatting to us from in difficult circumstances, just landed in the Western Cape. You know, on behalf of our community, Mufti Saab, we wish you everything of the best. We make du'as for you that Allah makes this trip of these flotillas successful. I know there is a kind of, you know, sort of a pause in the action and attack, and let's hope it's ideal time for these flotillas to go in, and Allah, you know, prevents these, what you call Zionists from attacking these flotillas, and eventually you can get aid in. At least some of our South Africans on behalf of South Africa would really be proud of being part of the team to provide aid. So we and the Ummah around us will make constant du'as for the success of this trip you guys are embarking on, and we will keep in touch with you in the course of your journey, Mufti Saab. We wish you everything of the best.
When I'm there, we'll link up live, inshallah.
Inshallah, we'll link up live with you. Mufti Saab, Jazakallah, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you for all the good work you're doing throughout the country and continue to become a mujahid of Allah in the path of Allah. Shukran, Mufti Saab. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
That was Mufti Ibrahim Smith, just landed in Cape Town. The lines were not clear, but the message he's saying is that he's basically a volunteer together with 7 others in South Africa to join these many flotillas that are floating, hoping that they'll go in large numbers and maybe they can make a breakthrough. We make du'as that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow these people to go in and enable them to provide aid and also ensure that help is rendered to our people in Gaza who are going through a very, very difficult time. Just before we spoke to Mufti Saab, we were chatting on service delivery and the decline in methodology. Now, I want to quickly, before I get to Brother Hassan Motala to chat to us and give us economic updates, I want to bring back Councillor Asghar. Asghar, I know you basically have, some kind of system that whereby if people have service delivery challenges, then online they report those challenges and the municipality will respond. Will that system work in Umdoni, or how long ago it started, and is it being effective?
No, I think one must understand that the implications of the system that is being implemented. Previously, we had an email system where you could just email your queries or your issues through to the complaints or customer services department, and then a reference number would have been issued. But now we've beefed that system up to be more in a real time system, especially at the local level, at the local municipality. We have the WhatsApp systems, and it's not your WhatsApp groups, your community groups, where the person will say, hey, there's a dog barking here, or there's someone walking on the road here. This is a dedicated municipal line where you report directly to the municipality on WhatsApp. A reference number is then given to you on WhatsApp. That reference number is obviously from the customer services department, is then cascaded to the relevant department for action. And the time is 24 hours it's given for your query to be either action or given some kind of feedback with something of a something major in nature that may require a budget and those type of things. So I think what is important is that the through the system is that the municipality then receives real-time updates, and it will then allow the municipality to respond quicker. We heard the challenges of the Ratepayers Association to say, we don't receive any feedback from our councillors. So we say, okay, cut out all this. Go direct to the municipality, send your reference number to your councillor so your councillor can then make the follow-ups for the necessary follow-ups. But it also gives the municipality a chance to react quicker. Then also what the benefit of it is that also it allows the municipality to plan better. And I heard Brother Abdool speaking regarding the budgeting process and the response to the challenges of the municipality. Now, but the budget goes with resource allocation. In a council, we probably receive what we call equitable share, other conditional grants, but also we receive our own funding through rates and taxes and other sources that the municipality has. But, any plan needs to be implemented. So the budget is a plan, needs to be implemented. But how do we then go about allocating the necessary resources to the necessary places? So these types of systems that we have implemented will then allow the municipality to understand what resources are required in certain places. For example, we have many rural areas. Approximately 75% of our municipality is rural. So one won't be budgeting for street lights in the rural areas immediately until you are able to then bring the rural areas up to a certain point. So it's understanding what is required where. So this regular communication will then be able to put the municipality in a place so that we can plan better and allocate our resources better. It also it creates a paper trail for the resident and for the municipality. You see, as councillors, our responsibility sometimes is misunderstood by the community, with all due respects. Our responsibility is not to fix the pipe ourselves or to fix the electricity ourselves, because obviously we don't have that technical expertise. But ours is to ensure oversight over the work that is supposed to be done by the council, by the municipality. So the systems that we put in place also ensures accountability in a sense that Mr. X, Y, and Z will then report to the municipality, receive the reference number, and then give it to the councillor. Councillor, I have reported this to the municipality. And sometimes it happens, people will come to us, I've reported to five times. I've received an SMS from the municipality that this has been completed, but there's no work done. So it gives you as the councillor the ammunition to go to the official to say, this has been reported. The residents have reported that it's not been done, yet your supervision is saying that it's done. What's happening here? So you then put the councillor in a position to hold the municipality to account. When you have this paper trail, it does that, and it also creates and enhances the trust between the people and the councillor and the municipality, because now everybody is working within one system. So I think these are some of the key elements that we need to or this effective communication will take place. I think, and I heard Brother Abdool referring to councillors' lack of communication with the public, and we know it's 1 year before the elections, so you'll find that the councillors will start doing their work again. So don't be bluffed. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he mentioned something to this effect that a Muslim will not be bitten in the same hole twice. So our voters out there must be very, very careful and wary of who they vote for, because you can't be putting the same people to fail every time. With your vote is the power. So we need to ensure that we put people in there that will bring relief and change to the community. And we must understand the role of the ward councillor. The ward councillor, Brother Yunus, is so important. I call the ward councillor the champion of service delivery. Mm-hmm. Nothing happens in the ward without the ward councillor knowing. And the ward councillor, if there's 5 different things that is wrong in the ward, and the municipality says we only have resources to do 2, then it's the ward councillor's responsibility to identify the priorities in the ward. Therefore, you need to have ward councillors who are close to the people and understand the importance of the work and ensuring that people equitably around the ward are serviced. And the other thing that I want to touch on, and not so much as a response, but just as an encouragement to Brother Abdool and the people like him who are involved in ratepayers and civic associations. You guys are very, very important in the whole ecosystem of local government. Without the Ratepayers Association, without the civic associations, I don't think any local government can function properly. Because to do work, one is the budget, but more important than the budget is the IDP and the planning process that goes through for the IDP. And these are key areas where the local residents, through the civic associations, through the ratepayers associations, should get involved in ensuring that their priorities are high up on the list. So we have a very, very great responsibility to play as ratepayers and civic associations.
Now, just one final question before I go to Andile. Have you found there's an improvement in service delivery as a result of this WhatsApp, recording or reporting system?
No. One, you'll have the improvement in the reporting. You'll also have the improvement in the paper trail and the recording of the system, of the issues. But what we need to see, the translation, is in the actual work being done on the ground, and that will take time, because remember, we are dealing with a culture of 30 years of non-performance, where 30 years municipal officials felt that I can go to work at 8 o'clock. I can go to work at 9 o'clock, sign in that I came at 8, leave at 2, and then there's no repercussions on it. So these things now that are being introduced will allow us as a municipality to, have oversight, and especially as councillors, to have oversight on what is happening. Department X, Department Y, you have received 30 complaints for the month. You've only dealt with 2. Why? What is the problem? So then, as from the perspective of the Public Accounts Committee, the committee that I chair, will then give us ammunition to say that, are you guys doing your work? Is there value for money received by the ratepayer? So it then gives us the opportunity to further investigate and implement consequence management on those who are defaulting in the obligation, the duty towards serving the people. Because everybody wants a job. If you can look at it as a job, yes, you do your work, you go in, you have your KPI, your key performance indicators, you do your work and you continue. But if you look at it as a service to humanity, then you'll take it further. And you look at it from the perspective of an amana, a trust placed upon you, whether you are an official or whether you are in the side of oversight in the council. You look at it as an amana placed upon you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you are then able to do a better job, inshallah.
Shukran, Asghar. Hassan, I want to bring you in. South Africa's annual inflation rose to 3.5% in July, up from 3% in June. The main drivers were rising prices of food, housing, and utilities. We know electricity went up, water went up, and we spoke about it. Then the number of households facing hunger has shot up to almost 20%. That means that 3.5 million families don't have enough food to survive. There's also been an increase in the number of people depending on social grants. Now, these are serious numbers, for South Africa, considering, the many challenges we are facing. Hassan, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to News in Focus, and shukran for joining us.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think, Yunus, first let's start off in terms of the inflation number that came through. We've had, over the past year, inflation has subsided quite a bit relative to what we saw in 2023 and parts of 2024. Remember, we had a massive jump in terms of inflation during that period of 22, 23, 24. There was a big uptick. But over the past year, it seems it has subsided. And in fact, the Reserve Bank has started to come through during the course of this year, where they pushed through three rate cuts. And the prime lending rate has now dropped to 10.5% as at the last month. The big driver this past month has been, firstly, food items. And we all see, if we go to the butcher shop, last weekend I was at the butcher shop as well. You can see the price of beef relative to what it was a few months ago has moved up substantially. And that's been impacted by the foot and mouth disease that has taken place in northern KwaZulu-Natal and in Gauteng. So with the result, with the reduction in terms of supply of beef, you've seen beef prices has pushed up substantially. In fact, beef is up probably 30% year on year. It's certain types of beef is up 30% year on year. So that has quite a significant push and impact in terms of inflation during this past month. The second point is utility tariffs have picked up. So cost of water and cost of electricity. Cost of water per this month up 12% year on year. And electricity is up about 10.5%. So that again contributed in terms of the inflation. So that from last month to 3 to 3.5, the big drivers effectively being your food costs and particularly red meat like beef. And then secondly, utility costs like your water and electricity, that's obviously pushing through. Now, it is impacting everybody. And that's why you are finding, whether it's the public sector or the private sector, they're trying to push through in terms of wage increases. Obviously, some of the wage increases that have settled are still quite excessive, but they're pushing through in terms of 5-6%, which is still above inflation, and it's helping people to preserve. One interesting thing I've picked up in an article to show that over the past, from 2016 through to now, the middle class in South Africa is coming under massive pressure. And the middle class is defined, there's two definitions. One is, one institute defines it as being those that earn anywhere between 5 to 20,000 rand net a month. And the other, there's another company, research outfit, that defines it as anyone that, a household that earns between 8,000 to 30,000 rand. That middle class or middle income groups has come under massive pressure. And the reason for this is, if you look at from 2016 through to now, if you look at certain key areas in terms of costs. So for example, if you look at if you look at inflation, just general inflation, it's up from 2016 to now, up 52% during the period of 8 to 9 years. Secondly, electricity is up 135% from 2016 through to now. 135%. That's a massive increase. And then thirdly, the price of fuel, although we've seen now during the course of this year, fuel costs has been coming down, but from 2016 through to now, fuel is up 88%. So if you look at key areas, your transport costs, your cost of food, your cost of electricity, those costs have gone up substantially over the last 8 to 9 years. So the middle class in particular, but also the lower income groups, has been impacted substantially because their income has not increased as much in fact, their income in real terms has been relatively flat. So they're actually under their disposable income is actually down 50% over the last 9 years. So what that means is, when you were at 8-9 years ago, you had 20,000 rands. After spending on your food and electricity and all of that, you still maybe had about 4,000-5,000 rands that you could spend still on maybe a bit of clothing, a bit of entertainment. Now, when you're looking at that 20,000, say it's with inflation, you went up to 25,000 or so, but the 25,000 now, you're spending most of it just on food, electricity, and fuel and transport costs, which means less money now to spend on clothing, entertainment. So your disposable income has come under substantial pressure. And that's been the big issue for the middle income groups. And you're seeing it to some of the retailers as they're reporting results. In fact, who was it the other day? Was it either the Fushini group or one of the groups that came out? The results showed that they struggle, the retailers are finding it difficult in terms of growth at the moment because of the tough environment. Those that are still doing relatively well, so some of the food retailers are still doing okay. For example, within Checkers, the upper income is still doing relatively okay. So the Checkers brand, which is targeted at the upper and upper middle income, they're doing okay. But ShopRite within the Checkers group is a bit under pressure. And you're seeing it because people that shop in that segment are actually buying down into like U-Save and those areas because of the pressure they're facing within that segment as well. So I think we have had a tough period, particularly post-COVID, when inflation shot up in 2022, 23, 24. Inflation slowed down last year, slowed down during the course of this year as well. It's been around the 3%. The uptick now has been because of food costs, particularly red meat, and also the issue around the electricity and the water-related costs.
Now, I just want to bring Andile in here. Andile, indications are that a large number of people are battling to make ends meet. The issue is that the number of households facing hunger has shot up by almost 20%. That means 3.5 million families don't have enough food to survive. So there's a large number depending on social grants. Now, we know that social grant is probably just around 2.5 grand a month. Now, I know a lot of these people are resident in the informal settlements. In eThekwini, there's more than 600 informal settlements with more than 200,000 families living. Now, as the Al-Ansar Foundation, when we go about humanitarian aid with our hamper and feeding schemes, we note that even if you provide, probably, food for 1,000 people is not enough in the informal settlements, like one informal settlement. Now, the question is, they are finding it difficult to survive. Although they're not paying for electricity and water because obviously there's limited supply, they have utility taps around there, and not all informal settlements are electrified. So people are living in abject poverty, and this is why you as a councillor considered your situation in eThekwini. Are we really performing what we're supposed to do? And you indicated earlier, it's frustrating because a large amount of money is being spent on maladministration, corruption, and there's no consequential management. And this has been going on for years, and it's attributable. And one of the causes of the problems is that there are incompetent staff, cadre deployment, councillors are involved with corruption, and years have gone by and nothing's taking place. So, number one, I want you to comment on the poverty facing the people. And exactly that is one of the concerns. And number two, when you change to join, the Mayibuye movement, you're hoping that a new party will come in the block that will start addressing these challenges. Perhaps you want to give us your input on those issues, Andile?
No, thank you. I think what's key here is that being a pioneer is never easy. We can't also sit in a situation where because you're comfortable, you then forget the mandate that's been given to you by the average man. So us joining Afrika Mayibuye is basically being able to have impact in the formulation of the People's Charter, which will talk to the gaps that they exist within the system. What we need to know is that any political party that doesn't take in the thoughts of the young, the thoughts of the unemployed, the thoughts of even the senior citizens, we need contributions that will evoke responsibility within every average person in this country. We also don't want a nanny state where our social grants balloon to the point where people feel that they have to have handouts. Unfortunately, as great as the gesture of giving food parcels out, giving bread out, it creates an expectation of getting freebies. Unfortunately, we need to invest in capacitating our unemployed, training them, understanding skill sets. Technology is one major one. And when you're sitting in a political party that doesn't grow at the same pace as the rest of the world, then you start sitting in council and not actively being able to stimulate people's minds to utilize technology as a source of being able to solve solutions and give solutions for the average person. We must look at one example is that there's an aqueduct, the Southern Aqueduct. Today, there's 24 hours where there won't be water. that is not acceptable at any point. And we must understand the cost implications of this. It's 1.2 billion rand that needs to be allocated for that aqueduct, a 70-year-old aqueduct. When you look at modern day understanding of desalination, which you can use the seawater that we have, the coastal water, at a fraction of the cost, you're looking at sustainability of doing this so that the average man also benefits from costs to reduce cost. And then we need to upskill these young people that sit in at home and, sit behind their phones and pray for a solution. There's nothing worse than realizing that there's more taverns in the township than there are education centers. This talks to the fact that people have given up, and now you expect the young people to take their 350 and take it back to the big stores, as you talk about now, the ShopRites, where you must understand by them being the official center of where they collect their cash, it means that money goes back directly to the ShopRite balance book, and it does nothing for the average man. So we are going to have a drunk society, an angry society, but with no solutions in hand. Hence the decision to move away from an existing party that was giving us an income. It doesn't do anything for anyone when it's all about us. So to be a leader, sometimes you have to pioneer and go through hard times, because that's what the rest of the country is going through. And we're not saying it's going to be easy. We're not also, disillusioned by the limitations within the political framework that exists. You must understand that the deployments within our municipalities are an ANC deployment. This is a 30-year-old problem. So even if you're a councillor, if the head of a department takes instruction from any political party, it then gives you a barrier of entry, and that also means that there's a barrier of service delivery. So we are not here to mince our words. We are not anti anything except anything that is anti-human and anything that doesn't give, our average man the desire to actually impact the country. We can't sit back and allow things to happen as usual, because now the crime will go up because there's less money in the system. There's less business that are successful because the money that we are looking for the grants go through to POWs that are aligned politically. So we can't then give solutions when we are sideline politicians looking at everything as a problem. We also must state that the reason why I'm here, Afrika Mayibuye is not an African party. It's a South African movement that allows every creed, race to impact its policies, impact the demographics of leaders. As a young leader who's just come from being youth, who was a youth leader within the metropolitan of eThekwini, it's important to give hope to the hopeless, to say young people are ready to lead. We want young minds that are willing to risk. Yes, it's important to risk, but we need to show innovation and talk to business people, talk to communities, talk to Indian people, talk to white people, because the common factor here is that everyone needs decency, and we are looking for that. We are looking for change, and maybe the change comes from us.
Now, Andile, you're indicating that there's a need for more honest, effective political parties to come into the block, to utilize the resources of the fiscus of the municipality more effectively. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's a budget based on the contribution of rates mm-hmm. and utilities, and the budget for the year is formed from those funds.
Yes.
And what is being mentioned over the last decade or two is that those funds are not being utilized effectively because of corruption and maladministration. A large portion is not going back to service delivery. The parties in control are not doing much about it because a lot of politicians are implicated and there's no action being taken. So you decided enough is enough. You're young. You need to get into a more vibrant civic association. We mentioned civic structures, ratepayer associations are the heart of service delivery, and they got to hold municipalities accountable. So there's two areas that need to be improved. One is the personnel in the municipalities, and two, the political structures. So briefly, because we're coming close to concluding the show for this evening, the organization that you joined, Afrika Mayibuye movement, is not yet launched as a political party, but it is a civic organization. You all are basically consulting, and you're looking at things from a different angle where, you indicated that you believe that you have to effectively utilize the resources to provide appropriate and efficient service delivery. So obviously we're going to interview other civic organizations, but what's your closing message that, number one, will you be attending to the personnel in these municipalities? And between now and the next elections, what is Mayibuye's plan of action?
Thank you again. So over the last couple of months, Africa Mayibuye has been consulting with all stakeholders within the communities. 9 provinces are done. The last one was KwaZulu-Natal. As you know, KwaZulu-Natal is a very hard province. And we are glad to announce that the support was resoundingly great. We closed off with meeting the Zulu King, who gave us a handshake and a blessing to go and do and take the people's mandate, which says Africa Mayibuye must get into the political arena. We can't be sidelined politicians, as I've said. We've looked at the challenges and need everyone, every society, every civil movement to actually contribute towards the framework that will be utilized in this movement. It's a movement which means that we are looking for associations, labor, civil society, religious, throughout all sectors, to be a unifying voice and activate the disgruntled voter, and give them hope in their own built platform. And it's very important to understand that this movement is not going to accept business as usual. This movement is going to challenge the last 30 years of thinking and doing. And I think my summary now is that I have hope, and I hope the hope that I have evokes someone who's sitting at home who's lost hope. And we need to follow a trend of putting our heads on the block and making sure that we roll our sleeves and stop complaining and make things happen. So for me, to everyone else, we are pledging our lives and our dreams and aspirations in something that we are building as pioneers. Thank you.
Andile, we thank you for providing candid responses to the issues we raised, and as a young activist, you prepared to take the plunge and make some changes in the lives of people. Abdool, I want to bring you in. I know we're running out of time, and your closing comments. You've been interacting with a lot of political parties over the last few years, and obviously you tried your level best to ensure that the municipalities are held accountable and service delivery is improved. You've heard Andile speaking about a change and perspective in which this civic organization or consultative forum is planning its strategy. Perhaps you, as a Ratepayer Association, I want you to comment that it's high time that we have a change and obviously have a non-racial interactive organization, political party that will serve the needs of the people. Abdool, your comments?
Sure, Yunus. In fact, exactly what Andile has been alluding to. It's important for civic associations, ratepayers, religious leaders to play a role with these types of organizations. We cannot be just sitting out there and, running around trying to solve the issues in our communities. We need to find leaders and we need to find parties that we can work with. And civic organizations plays a vital role in this type of work in society. So I'm actually happy to hear what Andile is speaking about, where he's inviting, all these associations to come and join them. And this is something that I think everybody in South Africa should be looking into, trying to align into these type of options. Realistically speaking, if we look at it, with all the political spheres, what options do we have? If we look at all the parties, we sit from the DA, the ANC, the EFF.
They all failed us. So you're going to try other, sort of activists, other organizations to see whether they can make a change, to learn from the failures of the past, you say?
I mean, the same thing applies to like Jama being a small party that we'll say. I always find you are going to align with somewhere. Sometime maybe this home could be good for them to also look at opportunities, to enter the sphere. And, they need to explore it, because we as society, as organizations, we cannot just be sitting quiet now, because I think we had enough.
So in other words, you need to increase the share of the minority vote by merging with other progressive organizations.
100%. Minority votes are actually quite important. I mean, I've mentioned this before. I've mentioned this to many ratepayers associations. We have the largest population of Indians in South Africa, that's in KZN. And if we look at the voting base here, majority of the wards that we look at, Chatsworth, Phoenix, Overport, are all DA run. But guess what, Yunus? It means we Indians, are we so weak we don't have a MMC or a mayor that's actually, you've been giving your votes to the DA. What did you get out of it? Indians were sidelined. There's nothing they get, for your vote. I think it's time as us that we need to look at the future, and we need to see, when we give our votes, what are we getting in return?
So effectively what you're saying, and I'm going to say what some leaders said is, and I'm going to give you the question and the answer, is that when the ANC was unbanned, it included all the different race groups to bring democracy. That 60 or 70% supported the ANC up to a point where maladministration, corruption, and cadre deployment and inefficiencies have crept in. Now you want to go back to start and see, can we go back to the Freedom Charter, which said that this country belongs to all and we should provide services and don't only worry about ourselves to fill our pockets. So, in other words, you're going back to start. And this is what, in summary, Andile was articulating, that he joined this particular movement with a view to forming a political party. And they're going to talk to other smaller parties and ratepayer associations. And I think the concern of the smaller ratepayer associations have been that we may have a particular race group support, but the terrain or the demographics in that particular ward will be at all race groups. So if a particular party is non-racial and got the support of all the race groups, you identify a leader, not necessarily of any particular color. And if that person is a leader of any particular race group, they will be supported if the party has an inclusive agenda.
100%.
So as a ratepayer association, you are saying there is a change. Smaller parties need to look for the support that those parties are going to get. And when you go into the informal settlement, they must say, listen, we want to support this party because we'd rather invest our vote on a change and give these guys an opportunity so that we can get the municipality sorted out exactly from the city manager downwards.
I agree. If you look at reality, I've been to Tikini municipality. Andile has been there. Our councillor Asghar is there also. But let's try and understand the dynamics of KZN in particular. As we say, largest Indian,
area.
If I ask Asghar, how many Indians, do we find that's actually sitting in council, and what positions do they hold?
They're merely just councillors.
I mean, you don't hold anything vital, and I don't think the numbers are enough. If I have to ask a question, in total in South Africa, how many of them are there? What is the numbers? What used to be the time when you were in council was actually much higher in comparison.
But listen, that's why I'm saying that when the ANC's Freedom Charter was released and when they were launched, they had that in mind. But over the last few decades, other things have cropped up. Opportunities have come in, and we're not saying the original leaders are to blame, but because they gave opportunities to others, this mafia-style, political agenda came in.
I mean, this is a big joke now. If you look at Peter Marisburg and Sunduzi, I mean, that area has been in administration for many years. So it means that Tikwini could not fix it. You go and take out a person from the grave, which will bring Sutcliffe back. It means that you don't have
Sutcliffe will differ with you. He says he's still alive and well.
I mean, but he's been parked away.
Yes.
Right? You bring the guy back.
You pulled him from the dead and brought him back.
It's like you, Mr. Sacoor, bringing you from human settlements now to say handle the issue, because that's where you come from. It means there's no people up there that can do the job, that's qualified for that field, as these type of managers, city managers. They don't exist.
So you've got to bring back experienced people to start mentoring new people with a view to improving service delivery.
I mean, when you was in human settlements, How many houses have you delivered in comparison to what's happening now? If I have to ask Andile the same...
To answer you, average of 20,000 a year.
Okay. Andile, how many houses have they delivered now?
Probably not even 1,000 a year. So effectively, what you are saying as a ratepayer is sharp focus should be service delivery. Councillor Asghar is saying that you need effective civic organizations to become political parties to really make the change, and they need to be given a chance. Because if you don't make the change, the communities out there that are listening to this interview will say that this is a talk shop. We're talking about the causes of the problem, but we're not talking about the remedy to the causes. And I'm hearing this constantly as the presenter on News in Focus for the last couple of years, Andile, is that we need to make a personnel change. To make that personnel change, you're going to deal with the impact of the LRA, Labor Relations Act. Because if you've got 50% of the staff in all municipalities that are ineffective, Asghar may tell me that's more. Now, you simply can't go and say poor performance because they got performance agreements, but they're not being assessed correctly because there's political intervention. Because I heard the word, somebody was mentioning that there's political interference, and that is a major problem because people that are being appointed are being protected and no action is being taken. So the sort of urgency is to look at those personnel and to ensure your leaders, your political leaders are appropriately elected, and they go to those municipalities and start correcting the quality of personnel. And one of the ways that the ANC approached this problem in the past, when I was there, is they realized that the apartheid era, they had people that used to work, but they were not effective. So what they did is, in consultation with us, is number one, learn the trade, how to do it. I'm just going to recap 1994. Learn the trade as a councillors from those cadres or those comrades that were inside the municipality. And number two, to get advice that how do we park off these ineffective, lazy employees and bring in parallel new positions like what Mike Sutcliffe did. You spoke about Mike Sutcliffe. He came in and he realized that the head of departments, all 40 of them were ineffective. They had an apartheid-style administration. So what he did is he appointed 40 new, sharp, aggressive and intelligent appointments who are politically sensitive of the change required is to serve the entire area, not only the privileged areas. And those people that were not necessarily made redundant, that were holding those posts, would provide support to the new people there. And in that way, there was an improved service delivery.
Sure.
So a similar process needs to be followed, Andile, and you're saying that's the vision of the organization you've joined.
Just coming into the last few seconds, is that Mike Sutcliffe was in KZN in the early, about maybe a few months ago.
He was in terms of Section 1554 supporting Tekwini.
Obviously, they throttled him.
So now he's been deployed to Msunduzi.
Correct. So I'm trying to say, we know we have a city manager, which I'm sure the councillors there can agree, that's hopeless, that has failed the city for many years. They should have taken him and parked him aside, even if they paid him didn't make a difference.
And brought in a more effective individual.
Because we are
together with his two ICs, his deputy city managers, as well as heads of departments, to run a parallel process. So what is being suggested is that come the next municipal elections, those parties that are in control have to make sure they control the municipality, because if you find that they may get 10 or 15% of the vote, you're going to have a coalition of sorts as well, but you won't have the same political party controlling municipalities.
You're still having the same issue. If you look at Stanger, they can't even put the mayor right. They actually removed the two mayors, the mayor and the deputy.
So you say this problem is countrywide. So those that want to come in and improve, they obviously got to have experience politically to start making these changes, diagnose the problems and start dealing with them. I think we're getting closer to the solution. We're going to start exploring this in future programs. I want to bring Hassan in. We're running out of time. Hassan, we mentioned that poverty is really a major problem. More than 60% of the people are living below the normal economic line. Because even if you've got a large percentage of grantees and those that are receiving social grants, that money is too less for them to survive. How do these people survive? Are they getting families to support them? Because we mentioned criminal activity can creep in if people don't have financial resources to survive. So Hassan, what's your take on the matter and suggestion?
So you remember over the last, since COVID, we've had that special grant, which is about 350 rands. But remember, over the years, you've had two major grants, which is one is the pension grant, which is about 2,200 rand a month, and then you've had the child care grant, the child support grant. That's been another one. So within families themselves, those are other things. You have, for example, 2 or 3 people within the household that are receiving a grant. So it's collectively, through the child support grant, the pension grant, or other grants that are coming into the household, collectively that's helping them to survive. So barely survive. So not,
just about putting bread on
just
the
about
table.
putting bread on the table and making sure there's at least a meal a day. Secondly, many kids that are from many of these poor households rely on a meal at the schools. And for example, NGOs like the Al-Ansar Foundation and many other foundations out there that go besides the school system where but many other areas, whether it's the creches and the schools and other type of NGOs together with certain of these governmental organizations, the daily meal that is provided to children again is an important aspect in terms of ensuring that poverty is being addressed.
So they get nutrition.
They get nutrition. Do not underestimate the meals that are provided daily to kids across the country. It is a huge, huge factor in ensuring that we do not have a major poverty issue in the country. So it's a big part of what happens. So while the household is under pressure, those kids are getting a nutritious meal at their school on a daily basis. And that's an important point to highlight as well. However, households are generally under pressure. And that is the point to note. To get out of it, you need to have the economy growing at a faster rate to create employment. The biggest issue we have is a high unemployment rate and ineffective spending by the government in terms of the budget allocation across the board. That's one of our big issues. Our big issue is that we're spending so much of the budget, firstly, on employment in terms of bloated employment, whether it's either the cabinet structure or whether it's the state enterprises, whether it's Eskom, Transnet, and across Home Affairs, whoever it is, those are bloated. The amount that's being spent on that there is quite substantial, and that needs to be reduced. Secondly, the amount that you're spending on interest and servicing our debt. The fact that 22% of every rand that we're earning is going towards that is a huge amount. Now, we need to get back some of that and use it towards infrastructure. Now, infrastructure has benefit in 2 ways. Firstly, creating employment. It does create employment, not only those that are contributing to the infrastructure itself. So whether it's the suppliers of concrete or cement and the like, or bricks, but also those that are involved in the construction, but also the related households that benefit from the money that is flowing from that there. And then secondly, the fact that when you have a stable infrastructure, roads, rail, ports that are effective, stable electricity, stable water, the general economy overall starts to gain momentum. So the private sector is sitting on, if I heard correctly the other day, they're talking like billions or even 1 trillion rand of cash that they're sitting on and haven't implemented in terms of spending because there's still concerns around the government and policies and the like. You get policies, a lot of our policies that are in place are actually relatively decent. Yes, some of the talk recently about they want to introduce certain other issues that like for example the Johannesburg, they want to put there's some policy around the CCTV cameras and the like. The property owners came in and hammered them, and now there's a talk that policy is not going to take place. Sometimes some of the policies are really ridiculous that they want to introduce. The policies that we currently have in place, majority of them are not bad. It's a matter of implementing and executing them. And that's been our biggest failure and weakness to date, is that by not having the right skills and right people in place across majority or major amount of the institutions, it has led to this. Look at SARS. SARS was when the late Praveen Gordhan ran it. He brought it to a state which was a top-notch institution, and he left it there. Then you had the Zuma era with the appointment of the SARS commissioner at that time. It'll come to me just now.
Kisweta or
No, not Kisweta. The one that he was involved in the state capture. Not Malusi. Malusi Gigaba was the finance minister. The SARS commissioner. It'll come to me just now. Moyani. Oh, thank you, Monli. Moyani. He came in and SARS went on a downward trend. Kisweta came back. Look at what SARS has done over the last few years. Obviously, many of us don't like it, and it's an issue because now SARS, there's too much of overreach, and they're trying really being aggressive as well. But the fact of the matter is, they are one of the best performing government institutions, and government is actually the finance minister is relying on them to actually drive revenue collections to meet the budget requirements. Now, if only we see it in Transnet. We see it. Eskom slowly has seen some improvement, but again, because it's private sector involvement in terms of more solar and alternative energy that's been coming through, and that's helping in the right. We need that to be addressed. And Abdool and everybody's been talking about here the issue around we've been disappointed. There's been a lack of political will to address a lot of these issues, and until you get that, we're going to face challenges around that. And who is basically impacted the most negatively? It's your lower income and middle income groups. And look at majority of, not necessarily only just the townships, look at majority of the Indian areas, whether it's the Chatsworth, the Phoenix, Reservoir Hills, Overport, these areas, they've all been impacted because of the lack of infrastructure spending and the lack of care in many of those areas has resulted in the deterioration of service delivery that we've seen. Next year is important. Use our voting effectively. Vote for those who we believe that can actually make a difference. And we have to continue to press that and drive that as we're going towards the elections come next year.
Okay, I want to make a comment and we're going to close this evening program because we're 20 minutes over time. I want to comment briefly on the sources of income for the unemployed and the lower income communities, because we raised the question, Hassan, on how these people are surviving. And let's not underestimate the informal business sector where people are selling, goods in pavements, selling, the older African women are hawking, and they eke out a living. The employment of helpers and domestic workers, maids in the households, that's a huge area of employment by those that are working. Because even if people are on a middle income level, they're employing the maids and paying them 2,500-3,000 rand, which enables those maids to sustain their families over and above the grants they receive. So they in the 5,500 bracket. But I want to comment on the foreigners that are in the country. A large amount of foreigners have come in and through our borders, and that's a major problem. And there's a lot of issues being related by political parties, MK, etc., relating to these foreigners. But when these foreigners come into the country, and we're going to have to do a program on the economic activity of these foreigners, whether it's Pakistanis, Indian nationals, Malawians, Zimbabweans, Nigerians, forget about the drug industry, but a lot of these people have got technical skills, and they're providing technical services, whether it's gate automation, CCTV cameras, mechanics, plumbers, carpenters, because a lot of our people are using these people instead of going to industry and appointing people to do built-in cupboards, etc. And you take the Pakistani nationals, they're opening up these barber shops and sell shops or the hairdressing salons, and they're sustaining a decent living from that. And it's an example to the rest of South Africans that to address the unemployment crisis, and there's no decent account of that, it's a huge industry. Because if you go into Victoria Street or Grey Street and you count the number of sell shops, they're all next to each other and every one of them are making a decent living. And the same applies to the Somalis that have opened up shops and they're making mega bucks. So I'm saying there are opportunities in this country for people to survive and excel. Those industries that are taking place and employment sectors are assisting the economy. But I think crucial to the problem is that we need effective and an appropriate municipal administration going forward. And this is where the message is clear from our guest being present this evening and in prior shows, is that start mobilizing from now ratepayer associations and deal with all the challenges that we are raising. So when you deal with the challenges, unemployment and other issues come out in the discussion and we then can address it. So there's a lot of things that we need to discuss in this particular show going forward. We will make sure we get experts to discuss it, particularly in the informal business sector, the employment of domestic workers, the issue of how the foreigners are surviving and what role they play in the country, because you can't get rid of them immediately. So these are some of the topics we need to consider. And some of the suggestions made by our guests this evening are very thought-provoking and very important to our ratepayers. So I want to thank our guest that joined us this evening, Hassan Motala, as he always does, Abdool Valodia, Chairman of ORA and Chairman of United for Palestine, Andile Phahla, he's the Provincial Coordinator of Afrika Mayibuye movement. Asghar Khan, to you for leaving your town. It's going to take you another hour and a half to get back there. Probably you'll get to bed around midnight. We thank you for the sacrifice. We understand that you are making a difference in your municipalities. You're looking at ways and means. And may you continue to have success in Umdoni. And when we drive past the city, we hope that we can see it in an improving state going forward. I'd like to thank our guest, Mufti Ebrahim, to give us some very important information. We wish him everything of the best. And also our technician, Brother Dawood Mondley. He's spending late hours here and he needs to catch a Uber and go back home as well. On that note, it brings us to the end of News in Focus for this evening. We make duas to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He guides the ummah and the humanity towards a successful path. But when we obey Allah's commandments as shown to us by Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, it's certainly the recipe for success. The humanitarian part is part of life. We have to have it ingrained and inculcated into our life. We coming into the month of Rabiul Awal, where the reminder of the efforts of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam becomes important. It was a sunnah of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam to have a good character and care for the people around him. So that should be part of our lifestyle going forward. Until next Wednesday, for another program in News in Focus. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. मिला है जो भी मिला